live.
Yay!
So, we are here to discuss the Poison Heart. So,
Oh,
if you haven't read this, there is definitely going to be some spoilers. So, um, go read this and then come back,
yeah.
basically.
Yes.
Also, quickly, our next pick for next month is by Victoria Lee, and it is Vengeful Lesson, right?
The lesson of vengeance.
Lesson of Vengeance. I knew it was something similar. And honestly, I know, like, with all of our book club picks, we, like, will research and read about it ahead of time,
Huh.
but I never remember what they're about, like, going into it. So
Yeah.
I don't remember a clue what that's about. I just remember that we were interested in it at one point, so we picked that one.
Yeah. Here. I can pull it up really quick.
Cool. Also, stay tuned. We will be putting together, once we finalize our lineup, we'll be putting together like a little graphic like we did um, for 6 months, and I will put that up on my Twitter so you guys know ahead of time that
It
we are
won't
reading.
let me like make a get the big picture up, but it's a lesson in vengeance.
Yeah, it's a really gorgeous cover.
It is. It's super pretty. So,
Same with this one. I'm like in love with this, and also the name
obsessed.
is
Well,
gorgeous.
I like that you can see the crest because you talk a lot about the crest in the book, and it's nice that
Yes.
like I'm like, "Oh, so that's what it looks like."
Yeah, yeah, and they also have it like on the
On
back
the back, I don't
too.
know if they have the crest in the ebook. The only because I remember you showed it to me, but I don't yeah,
So
I
on the
don't
back,
think
they
the
actually have the torches and the key with the crest too. So it's like,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the ebook
yeah,
doesn't have that. You don't get the back cover, you just get the front cover, which is kind of sad, but
yeah,
it's
still
still.
gorgeous though. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. It
So,
shows up really well on camera.
so this is it. Like, obviously, if you guys are still around or you don't care about being spoiled, this one is a retelling, and it is a mythology retelling. Which, again, I knew that I was interested in this walking into it. Did not remember a thing about this besides it was a retelling of some sort. I, for the life of me, like, would halfway through reading this, like, picked up on the mythology retelling, like, names and things. But for some reason, I thought this was a Secret Garden retelling, and I have never read the Secret Garden book, so I didn't
Oh.
know if I was right or not. I just was like, "Oh, sure, that's a classic. That must be what's happening
You know
here."
what? That actually I didn't it's so stupid. I've read The Secret Garden. I've seen the movie. It's one of my favorite books and movies. And but it's been so long since I've read it and watched it that it didn't pop. And it makes no sense because like I should have thought about it because it's like Secret Garden. But yes,
Is
is
it? I
it
have no idea.
I think it is. It makes total sense because the main character, if I remember correctly, I believe she is orphaned, I believe. Um
If anybody knows, leave us a comment.
not that the main characters are orphaned, but she is
Separated from her biological mother.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Um set in England. I just want a quick synopsis.
Basically, after reading this, it very much, while Gabby is looking at the synopsis here,
Mhm.
um, when I was reading this, it reminded me
Mhm.
of one of my favorite books, which is Garden Spells. And I was like, okay, if this is a retelling of Secret Garden, maybe I need to read The Secret Garden because I'm sure I'm going to love it because I loved this book. Just like, obviously, I loved one of my favorite books.
Yeah, so yes, okay, so the main character, Mary, she's a 10-year-old girl. She is like from a wealthy family, super spoiled, but an epidemic kills her parents, and so she ends up being orphaned. She is British, and I believe so. She ends up going to her uncle's house, and she lives. And they live in like a huge mansion on a big estate, and there is a secret garden there, and her cousin, I believe is I believe it's her cousin, but he is handicapped, and I believe, I don't know if it's polio or something handicapped him and he's sick, and she sneaks him out of the house and she brings him to the gardens, and it like helps him with his like illness and just his morale. If I'm just like reading a quick synopsis, but that's what I remember the most. But yeah, it is very very, and then she does find a boy who lives in a hidden bedroom. Interesting.
Maybe
Yeah.
this isn't a retelling. I don't know.
It could. I mean, it seems similar-ish. Um, it had like little pieces of everything. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, this kind of sounds like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast," but then I was like, "Wait, that makes no sense just because they're in like a castle." And then I was thinking Cinderella, but I was like, "No, her it's not her step parents; it's her adoptive parents, and they're not evil." So I was trying to find out the retelling, but it makes sense. It makes sense that's a little bit of a retelling of The Secret Garden.
Well, and I also just think it's a retelling of the mythology
Mm-hmm.
too. She also lives in Texas, which I did not realize.
Hmm.
She grew up in Anchorage and now she lives in San Antonio. So this
Oh,
book,
no. Mary explores the garden. The robin draws her attention to the area of disturbed soil. She finds the keys to the locked garden, and eventually she discovers the door to the garden. Oh, yeah, because the garden was a gift to her aunt who ended up passing away. And so her uncle closed it off, and no one was allowed in there. And it was sealed off with a gate and a key.
okay, so it sounds like there is some
There's a
serious
lot of
drama.
similarities. That's right. It's
Yeah.
like all coming back to me.
All right. Cool. So what did you end up rating this Poison Heart?
Okay, so I am between a 4 and a 5. I think I'm going to go with maybe a 4.5.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't decide. I'm debating. I'll see after what my thoughts are after our. I need to like discuss
How
it.
much I can sway you?
I need to mull it over a little bit. I had some issues with like the final scenes at the end.
Okay.
So that's kind of like making me deduct a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. What
So
about you?
I
I feel
rated
like
it a
you're.
five.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yes, but this is also like my sweet spot. Like for whatever reason, like the magical elements in a realistic world.
Magical realism with like flowers and gardening, nature.
Yeah, and it like this definitely like appealed to like a Hufflepuffy heart.
Mm.
Um, I know that we hate J.K. Rowling, but I still identify with that. Um, and I think I don't know if it's actually magical realism because I know that magical realism has ties to Latinx like writing and things like that. So I'm not sure what the like PC like proper term is for this, but magical elements in the real
Mhm.
life that are tied in. That is like my sweet spot for it.
Yeah.
And so I just like ate this up. This was such an easy,
Oh my
fast
god, it's
read
so
that was like
good.
it like once you picked it up, you did not want to stop reading.
No, I binged it in 2 days. I was honestly, so I started it at the beginning of July. I was only a few chapters in. And then, but when I picked it back up, I couldn't put it down. And I was worried that I wasn't going to finish it in time, but I finished it like early this morning.
Yeah. So let's start off with the beginning. What did you think about the characters? How they're written? how they were like fleshed out, the mountains,
Yeah.
everything. Oh,
Yeah. Her moms are amazing. Probably some of my favorite characters I've read in a long time. And it's refreshing to see parents so involved in teenagers' lives because I feel like we miss a lot of that parental element when we read a lot of YA, which
totally.
is nonsense because they're minors. They live with some sort of guardian, some sort of adult figure, and that is a huge implication on not implication, but it's a huge thing on their lives. Like your parents, your guardians, whoever it is that is raising you or taking care of you. And I loved to see that. I loved seeing that dynamic. I love seeing her parents being so active and involved in her life. Um, I also loved like the adoption part of it. Like unfortunately, not unfortunately, but this isn't something I can relate to, but I'm sure there are multiple success stories of like adoptive children getting along with their adoptive parents, and so that was really
Yeah.
nice to see.
Yeah, I definitely, and we've kind of talked about that with other books too. How it's definitely like an idyllic world placing like these teen stories that don't have anything to do with parents, like, and that it's completely out of the world, and that's just not realistic because
Hmm.
parents play a big role, whether they are in it or absent. Parent is a very involved in a minor's life, whether they are like the absence of them or
Correct.
them being there. So
Yeah.
like I love the way that that was portrayed. I love that it was like of course like I love that there's so much queer representation in
Oh
here. It
yeah.
wasn't like a coming out story. It just was like this is normal type
I
of
thought so too, and I assumed I mean, I don't know why I assumed this, but it felt like at the beginning that the queer representation were her parents. Um, because I don't have we had any of like same sex parents? I don't think I've read a book with it.
I don't think so.
I don't nothing is standing out to me. So I love that. So I thought that was going to be the representation, but then when she met Marie, I was like, "Oh, I think she might be bi. Is she going to or gay? Sorry, is she going to come out?" But then they mentioned that she had had a boyfriend and then she had had a girlfriend. So I was like, "Oh, this is kind of not refreshing, but it's
Like a
unique."
non-issue. Like it was not something that it was like something that had to be labeled or
Yeah,
that or
yeah. And I mean,
emphasized,
yeah.
dramatized, dramatized.
Yes. And don't get me wrong, coming of age, coming out stories, we've read so many that are amazing. Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, fantastic. But it was nice to kind of it being already like this is how it is.
Yes, yeah.
And like I don't even think they even discussed her sexuality whatsoever. It was just like have fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. And like that doesn't surprise me because they were queer
Hmm.
too. So it was like normal for them too. So I just thought that was like a really nice like touch on everything.
Yeah.
And I will say like I like that this is a YA book that was very minimal on romance
Oh my god, I loved that.
because that's really hard to find.
I loved it. Yeah, good. I feel like my tongue's purple. Sorry, random. I'm drinking like berry tea. Yeah,
But
no, I loved that there was no. It wasn't like a romancy book. It was very, very refreshing,
yes,
but it
well,
was
and that's
still
gonna make
so
things
intriguing.
yeah, that's gonna make things so much easier to like
Mhm.
recommend this to people because it checks so many boxes that people look for, and I just think like
Mhm.
it was done the way that it was written was done so well that it wasn't a you could tell that she was going through and trying to check off marks. She wrote it so expertly that
Mhm.
like the way that it all flowed was great, but all of the representation and things that people look for were in here, but it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like she was doing
Yeah.
something or anything like that. Like
No.
It was done really well.
Nothing was out of place. There wasn't any random plot that was like, where did this come from? It wasn't too much. Like, we've had, that's been one of our biggest gripes. We're like, there's too much going on in this book. And the author kind of like lost perspective. This one is just everything weaved together so beautiful, so seamlessly. It was just, it was so good. It was really, really good.
Yes. Um, so what about like the scene setting? What did you think about like the like atmosphere that the author has built?
It was it's so funny because she doesn't use flowery language. Like, her writing style isn't overly poetic or flowery like Maggie Stiefvater. It's not like that, but it just flows so well. And when she describes something, it's so vivid, and I was able to like picture it. She just did a fantastic job. It like her writing style wasn't overly complicated, but it wasn't overly juvenile. It was just like that perfect sweet spot.
Yes, I agree. Although one thing I will say that like while reading it and then she would like mention again and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be picturing her like this." That I like my brain could not comprehend was that she wears glasses. And for
Oh,
some reason in
yeah.
my brain I kept like not picturing her with glasses and then she would make a nod to like her wearing glasses and I was like, "Oh yeah, but I don't know how that would have like how she could have done that differently. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's just a me thing. Like, I don't know how
Yeah,
to better portray someone with glasses. But I like could not like connect that she was supposed to be wearing glasses the whole time. But I
that's
think
so
like
funny.
the the house was such a cool like dynamic scene, like or stage, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved like all of the secret rooms in there and
Oh, yeah.
like the a little bit of like detective part of this story was fascinating. I liked like the
Mm-hmm.
small towns. Like I could definitely picture the small towns with that. Um, I could definitely picture like the Brooklyn apartment and the shop too. Like all of it was done very well. And you're right, it wasn't overly. I wouldn't like if I'm thinking what's an atmosphere of book. I wouldn't necessarily pull to this, but I think she did it really well. That it was
Mm-hmm.
just like doesn't stand out as like flower writing. It's just beautifully well crafted.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I feel like anyone at any age can pick this up. I
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was reading YA. Like, it felt like I was reading a book about a character who happens to be a young adult. It just didn't feel like that typical
This is like
YA
top tier
juvenile.
YA.
Oh, is it?
Well, like in my opinion, like
Oh,
this
okay, okay,
is
okay.
top tier writing for YA. It's still because of the ease of writing and the way that it is written,
Mhm.
and like how almost bingeable it is.
Yeah,
It feels YA in that aspect of it, but it doesn't feel juvenile writing. It doesn't even
exactly.
feel like adult, um, like the more grown up side of YA. It doesn't. It just. I think it transcends that, and so that's why it's like I would even say like Sarah J. Maas doesn't feel YA to
Mm-mm.
me. Even Throne of Glass, just because like the way that the she has crafted it throughout. This I would still put in YA because of the ease of it. It's not. I mean, there is some like intense moments in here, but the
Mhm.
subject matter is lighter
Yeah, it is.
with while still being magical. So I think
Yeah.
I would still put it in YA, but this is like top tier level YA the way that it's crafted. That
Mhm.
like anybody could read this one.
Yeah, and it doesn't have a lot of like trigger. Um so, like you said, this is a book that could really be recommended to almost anybody, like, just because there really isn't a lot of triggering scenes. There is some cussing,
Oh yeah,
but it's very, very minimal. It doesn't really stand out as much. And there is a little bit of, I mean, I guess the ending scene is a little. Well, not really. It's not even overly violent. I was gonna say she stabs her mom, but it's not like overly violent.
Well, I mean, we've got a death of a parent.
Oh yeah, we do.
We've got like her getting like stabbed like in the arm and like having a knife up. So it's like
Yeah, I guess you're right.
violent, but also
But there have been YA books that are like extremely violent, and I'm like, how is this YA?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think like this is definitely more of a like toned down.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's nothing more violent than you would see on TV.
Yeah,
Like
I feel like it's even less than what you would see on TV.
oh yeah, I mean it depends on what TV you're also obviously watching, but like
Like I guess PG-13, but there's some
yeah,
pretty violent PG-13 movies out there.
yeah. So we definitely liked the atmosphere, scene setting, characters. The writing is beautiful. Um,
Oh, who was your favorite character? You asked me, but I don't think I asked you.
wait, did I ask if you did?
Yeah, I said her mom's.
Oh yeah,
Mo, probably Mo. But
yeah,
just the interaction between mom and Mo. It was just amazing. Like the breakfast. I'll make you
yes.
breakfast. Oh, baby, I will never let you. I just love it. I just love it.
I think like she is probably my favorite main character, like Reese's.
Oh,
Reese's, is that
yeah.
how you say it?
I was calling her breezies. I don't think that's right.
I just know that it's like with mythology, but I am not big on mythology, so I don't
I
know how
don't
to
think
say
I was
that.
pronouncing her name right, so my bad. I'm sorry, guys.
But our main character is definitely my favorite, and then Mo was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I agree. The whole like dynamic was fantastic. Oh, also like the garden and the imagery with the plants moving, like all of that was done
Oh,
very
yeah.
beautifully and very like
Yeah.
vivid.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know much about plants and gardening. I'm not like I just don't have a green thumb. But it was nice like hearing all of this and seeing it and being able to like picture it and learn about flowers and stuff and
Oh
plants and
yeah,
nature. That was really nice. Marie was also a really interesting character. We only saw her for probably like just the second half of the book and we didn't really get too much of her, but I felt like she was very well um written.
and intriguing.
And
Like I want to know more about
yes,
her.
she's very mysterious. I want to know more about her. Um, so I really, really liked her. I doubted Carter the moment I met him. That was one of my theories. I was like, I don't trust him. Something's off. And I knew that his mom was going to be the villain. When I said that the ending was predictable, I predicted that it was going to be her. I didn't realize how big the plot twist was. Um, but I figured she was the villain. Something just seemed off.
So for me, like I was going back and forth on Carter. I was like, I want to like him because I want her to have a friend, but I was also like very skeptical about it too. But I had like resided that, and I was like, because then Marie showed up, and I was like, do we not trust Marie? Like one of them has to be like the red herring. Like something
Yeah.
is amiss here. So I was like, okay, we like Carter, but like as soon as she like the movie theater scene happened and they were driving down and the police officer was like and he was like, oh no, I grew up here, because she's like, are you new too? And I was like, well, that's a red flag. Like clearly he's not supposed to be here. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well that like solidified that, and that was like halfway through the book, so that was pretty obvious that
Yeah.
something was gonna happen there.
Yeah. I think maybe she did it on purpose. She dropped little subtle hints here and there. Um, the mom just like was just an off character. She seemed very pushy to have them into the house, and she seemed very like nurturing towards the main character, but then seemed to like not care about her son, and then was
No,
like disheveled at one point. And I was like, okay, this mom just like her character traits just don't match up. It just doesn't make sense. Something's off. Like she's putting on some sort of
like facade.
act. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I definitely guessed that. Um I did not expect the person at the end to come back.
Yeah. I
That
mean,
was
we're already in spoilers. We can
that's true. Okay. So we knew her mom Celine was dead. Like that's been confirmed. Did you think Cersei was gonna come back? Like,
I did after we it was revealed that she wasn't really dead and she had just been missing for so many years, and I was like, okay, she's showing back up at some point. Like
that's fair. I mean,
that.
I shouldn't have been as surprised seeing Cersei standing there.
But like I was not imagining her just showing up. I was like in between like her showing up or her like Rhesus going to look for her. I
Oh,
was tied
interesting.
in like between like what's gonna happen there type of thing.
Okay, that would have been a good, yeah. Definitely. I thought this was a standalone until I got to the very end, and I was like, "Oh, this is definitely not a standalone."
So I guess let's talk about that. Like, is this a book that you would read the second one of?
Yes, I hesitate because it was so good. I worry about the second. But I hear Cinderella is Not Dead is really good, and this is her second one, and I feel like she didn't disappoint. So maybe she can keep a good streak going. I just I worry. I mean, the next book is going to be really somber because it's going to be trying to find all of these pieces to bring her mom back.
Yeah, I was surprised that she
Oh,
had two of them, like two pieces of the heart, when she like brought back in. But also, I'm wondering if she was trying to bring back. Well, she only has 30 days to bring back her, I suppose. Because I was like, why else would she have two pieces of the heart unless she was trying to bring back Circe?
mm,
But you have to. The whole thing is like, it has to be within 30 days, and
I
that's why we
know.
only have 30 days. So I guess that doesn't make sense unless she couldn't find them.
Yeah.
But then I don't know.
See, and
Why did she bring back the two pieces of the heart? That's my question. That I was like, things aren't
wait,
making
no,
sense.
no. She only brought no. They only have two pieces of. They have the vial, and then they have Marie.
I know, but at the end of the book, it also said like that there was two black boxes with thumping heartbeats.
Oh.
So
Hmm.
then
Okay.
there's four. They already have four pieces, so they're looking for the last two.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, see, I have a problem with that like trope bringing someone back to life because it never really works out very well. Um so that's kind of where the ending I was like, I don't know. I was really sad when her mom died.
Seriously, I was not expecting that at all.
No. Mm-mm.
I don't
No.
know if it's because I'm like more sad for Rhesus or more sad for Mo.
Oh my gosh. It's heartbreaking. But yeah. And I think one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to give it like a 4.5 is because I feel like at some times, Breezes, I feel like she just wasn't thinking and she was very impulsive. So, like, even though we don't like Carter, if we did like Carter, bringing him to see the Poison Heart with Marie was it was
I
putting
agree. I
him into
don't know.
danger for no reason. I thought that was really dumb. I was like, what are you doing? Like you're gonna kill your friend, essentially. I was like, this is not gonna end well. And then also
But
and then yeah,
we do have to remember she's 17. Like,
yes.
so, like, if we're, like, as dumb as that decision was, we have to think, like, okay, at 17, you make dumbass decisions. Like,
Yeah.
and, you know, like, especially if she's already immune to the poison, she's going to, like, she knows that he's not, but especially at that age, downplay the danger in things. Like, they think they're invincible. So I think
Yeah.
that kind of ties in and excuses that behavior a little bit, regardless if it was a good decision or a bad decision. But
Yeah.
it definitely fits the, like, that age range.
Yeah. And then there were so many times when um the Carter's mom when she had her up at knife point that I was like, fight Like
I really
literally,
wanted her to use some poison to
yeah,
try and
I
beat
was
me
like
magic.
literally all of these, like especially like I know at what I know she had her mom, like she was threatening, she had a knife to her mom's neck, but then her mom is unconscious and they go to the big door to go to the poison heart, and I was like, girl, do something now, like do something,
Well,
like shoot her in the face with that powder, um
well, she was debating it, but remember they said that if she doesn't come back by 11, Mo was going to get killed, or whatever was waiting for Mo back at the house, because she was also tied in with those people at the graveyard.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I still like she could have done something and then ran back.
Yeah, but she didn't know if they had already had Mo. Like they could have already
Yeah.
captured Mo. Like you know what I mean. Like so, I guess like that was the thought process, and that was mentioned in here. So at least like she covered her
Yeah.
bases there.
Yeah, but then once they got to the house, like and her mom was tied up, I was like, okay, now do something. Do something. Like when they're in the apothecary and her mom's tied up
Yeah, I think at
before
that
Carter came in.
I think at that point she was already so weak from being
Yeah.
hurt that she like barely had enough strength to like walk. So she had no
Yeah.
like strength to do anything. But
Yeah,
then
you're
again,
right.
also they don't know where Mo is, so she was worried about Mo too.
You're right. You're right. And like you said, she's 17, and if you're put in that type of situation, you kind of just do what you're told,
Right.
you know, when you're
Like
scared.
we're trained as that as a society too of
Yeah.
just let them have whatever they want. Like if they want to steal something, let them have it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
not worth your life, and so that's drilled into us is don't have
Yes.
confrontation if it's
That's
possible.
very that's very true. Yeah. No, you're yeah, that's very true. So I can't fault it too much. I just would have like she got so badass at the very end, like after her mom died, that like everything just, I would
We
have
finally got the
loved.
poison ivy scene.
I know, I would have
Remember
loved
that?
to have seen that beforehand, but I guess it's like one of those things where like you have to for like the
Tie those
heroine to,
shoes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um yeah.
I'm pretty excited for the next one. I hope we don't have to wait too long for it. Because that was
Yeah.
another thing, is like this was so good that this would be like a bingeable series that it
Mhm.
almost makes me wish I didn't pick this one up now so I could
I
binge them back
know.
to back.
It's like
I'm
one of those books where you just want to pick up the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm worried that like if too much time goes by, I won't pick up the second one.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
Which
Because
it sounds weird because this is a 5 out of 5 stars for me.
it's just it's easy to just not pick up the second book in a series when it's
Yeah,
been so long.
I don't know.
I
It's
prefer to
it's a
binge series.
yeah, definitely. But like Throne of Glass, like we were waiting for those, and like that was one that we're like definitely picking up, and this one I don't want to say that I'll forget about this one because it was such a good book, but maybe it's because there wasn't romance in it. Because usually
Yeah,
romance is what like brings us back, or like
maybe.
epic war battles.
Yeah.
But that this doesn't have that at the end. We're
Yeah.
just like on a quest at the end.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
like
like
yeah,
not
it's
as
I
intriguing.
I understand, like I totally understand what you're saying. It's like I don't know how memorable this book is going to be. I'm going to remember that I enjoyed it and I recommend it and it's a 5 out of 5 stars, but I don't know if I'm going to remember like the characters' names and because okay, I was thinking about this today. It's so sad, but like I can't remember any of the main characters of all the books that we've read like this past year. Like there's not one book that is like super memorable to me that I'm like I can remember their like the main characters' names, and I'm like I hope that's not the case with this book. Um but we'll see. I mean, there weren't that many characters, so I'm hoping that I do remember it and that I'll want to pick up the second one.
To be honest, I'm not even sure if I remember all the books that we've read for book club, and that's only 6 books. But I mean, I don't even remember the names of the books. Like but I think that's also because we consume so much.
Yeah,
So that does make it harder for us to remember the main character of every single book because what I'm almost at I think I'm at like 46 or 48 books that I've read this year, and I'm like,
nice.
I'm not going to be able to remember all those characters, side characters, whatever. So I think that's kind of just as the amount that you consume, it gets harder to like distinguish if
That's
it has to
true.
be like cream of the crop to be in your favorites. You know what I mean?
It really is. So I've already forgotten the main characters of One Last Stop.
Jane and
It's a
uh,
month. Is it June?
yeah, uh, it's 'cause it's a I think it's a play off of
No, her name, the main
oh,
character.
August.
There we go. Okay. See?
Jane and August. Yeah,
Okay. Sorry. Side tangent. But yes, I totally understand what you're saying. Like I hope this book is memorable,
yeah,
but at least I will remember that I enjoyed it. I'll remember that like the imagery and like the book itself was really good. I'll definitely remember the plot.
yeah. So like if when you're looking at it, like you remember that you loved it and remember the rating and like
Mhm.
remember why you liked it, but to remember that to pick this up in a year from now, the second one
Mhm.
comes out, like unless it's got another stunning cover like this that will catch my eye, I won't
Yeah.
fall in.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Definitely. Um I had another thought and I completely forgot.
We'll see though. It could be that we are like anticipating this next year
Yeah, maybe.
comes out if it's got a gorgeous cover and the premise.
Maybe I worry with this whole I don't know. I hope that it's not a second book slump.
Yeah.
Just
And
cuz I
like
have a feeling I know where it's going. You know what I mean?
yeah, like kind of Rainbow Growl esque second book, like kind of melancholy, like a
Yeah.
mopier book type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, mopier and then like it just bringing someone back from the dead. Any book that you read never ends well. Like a TV show, book, anything that has to do with that, it never ends well. So it's like tragedy twice, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
totally.
but yes, I um definitely enjoyed it. And it was a really easy book to read on e-read. I was worried that like the ebook wasn't I was going to have trouble and I was going to keep finding myself like wandering off the page, you know? But that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It was a good ebook. It was an easy read, that's for sure. I
So
do hate that like her friend had my name, Gabby, and she was such a bitch.
I didn't even like connect that. So
Really? Oh my gosh. I was like, really? Really? I like saw like I cuz I you don't see my name very often as a main, in books, and so I saw it, it like stuck with me and I'm like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I'm like, "Oh no, she's a total brat." So I was like, "Well, that kind of sucks."
so I think that's everything that like I wanted to touch on. Is there anything else that you wanted to comment
N-
about or talk about?
No, I think I let me see. Oh, my Kindle just died. I was gonna say if I'll look through some of my highlights, but I just highlighted like funny stuff, basically, like conversations between her and Mo and um oh, okay. Did you expect like with the plot, did you know that she was gonna be like immune to poison? Like that was essential like that was her special skill? Like did you see that coming?
It doesn't. It didn't surprise me just
Okay.
because she was good with plants. So why
Hmm.
wouldn't she be good with those other plants? Like those are still plants.
Fair.
So I kind of like wasn't surprised by it in the same
Hmm.
way. And
Hmm.
it like happened so early in the book too
Yeah.
that it was like okay, like you're still like establishing things. So like if someone's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm immune to poison, you're like, okay, this is what the story's about. It wasn't like a big reveal type of thing. So
Yeah,
didn't like surprise me.
absolutely. And like I hope that they touch more on the alchemist portion of what she does.
Oh, that's something that is left untouched. What did she make for that guy?
Yeah.
I
So I
definitely
mean,
was waiting for that to come back, and it was like,
yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna dock it too much because I'm assuming we're gonna get it in the second book. So yeah, because when
but
we
how
were,
did he never ask him? We like went back to him when he was deciphering the text and stuff, and I was like, how are you not curious what you've now made? Like, what?
yeah, that's weird. But I wanted to know like the what is it, the living elixir that she made.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really want to see more about that, like the alchemy part.
yeah, I agree. That was really cool, and I think this has really good potential to like really build up this world because there is like and this also felt like a very like Halloweeny book to me.
Yeah,
Like
a
the
little bit.
atmosphere, like I don't know why, but like it felt very Halloween Town to me. Like
Very eerie, kind of.
yeah, with like the creepy house and then like the small towns and like the magical
Yeah.
landscapes and like then the alchemy and then the like random like supernatural living character and like
Yeah.
I think
The
like
immortal
Nyx,
character.
yeah, I think Nyx, the driver, also's got something going on here
Yes.
too. So
Yes.
I think this could be like it could establish and be a really good world.
Yeah.
It should be interesting to see like if it's a whole series or if it's just a
Yeah.
trilogy or a duology. So
This would
but
be a good
this
duology.
I kind of want it to be more than that though because there's
Oh,
so much potential for
there
different
is.
avenues that like I want to
There
see it
is.
grow even
Yeah,
more.
that's very true. That's very true. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like there's definitely, I feel like she's got the skill that she
Oh
can
yeah,
definitely craft a good series.
totally. Okay, so I think that is going to be everything
Yeah.
for this time. Stay tuned for next month on Gabby's channel where we're going to
Yes.
be doing A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. So we're pretty excited about that.
I'm really excited for that one. I honestly, I don't remember what it's about, and I think I'm going to start doing that, going into it like blind.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. And stay tuned for more videos from us because I'm going
Yeah.
to go out and see Gabby. So stay tuned for videos of us actually together in the
Two
same room.
days.
Yeah,
Two
yeah, we
days.
leave tomorrow night.
Oh my
So
God. Yes.
all right. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in our next video.
Bye.